friends, Sheila Keeter here, your teacher for inclusion. And today I'm going to talk about teaching drama in the English classroom. It's one of my favorite ways to teach literature. And the first play I'm going to discuss is my favorite, which is teaching Wicked in the classroom. Now, I know that we love and think that we have to teach Shakespeare. I think that we feel like we aren't respected if we're not teaching Shakespeare. And I think that we need to teach about Shakespeare. And I think we need to look at some of the excerpts from his plays, and we need to analyze and look at some of his poetry and sonnets and all of that good stuff. But I think it's really okay to get away from Shakespeare, step back a little bit from Shakespeare and look at things that are a little bit more relevant to our students, plays and stories that they can really connect to, and they have such a hard time, no matter what we do as teachers in the classroom. And I know that you know this, even if you're going, oh no, no way. And that's okay if you're teach your heart out with Shakespeare, if that's what you want to do. If that's what you're good at, especially if you're good at it. But there's too many teachers out there that are struggling with it, in which case I think that it's okay to get a little bit away from Shakespeare. So what I do when I teach any play in my classroom is I put up characters on the board every day, and students come in and they can sign up to play a character. And you would be surprised. At first I thought, no one's going to sign up. I'm going to end up reading all the parts. And that's not what happens. Students start fighting over parts, in which you have to manage it a little bit and say, okay, if you haven't had a chance to play a role, then here is your chance. But you'd be surprised how much students, even shy students who don't talk, will sign up to take a role in a play. And they all add their own little spice or twist to the story, just like actors do when they act in a movie. And it's funny, and the other kids laugh, and it's just a fun way to learn. Wicked in particular is one that I love to teach because it's about the Wicked Witch of the West, and it's her side of the story, and everyone had the story wrong, and she is the good one, and Glinda is not the bad one, but she's materialistic, and the Wizard of Oz is really kind of a horrible, awful person. And we can talk a lot about theme and perception and the need to belong, and how she is an outcast, and how she has been smeared and her reputation has been smeared. And it's just a really great, fun book to teach. I have the script, revised script, so that it's appropriate for students, as well as lessons in my Teachers Pay Teachers Teacher for Inclusion shop. And I'm only mentioning that because it took so much work to put this lesson together. So if you don't have time, just trying to help you out. All right. I don't have books for the other ones that I'm going to talk about, but I do want to talk about some of the other plays that I have found to be successful in my classroom. Dear Evan Hansen, it's a book about a student who commits suicide, and this other student is taking credit for being his best friend, even though he wasn't his friend at all. It's just a misunderstanding. And there are so many different themes. It's rich in themes that you can discuss with students. I would do it around the time of bullying, or I think October is Suicide Awareness Month. And it's also very funny. So don't think, oh, that's so doom and gloom. It's written very humorously. The boy at the end, the kid who commits suicide, his ghost is throughout the story, and he kind of comes to terms with his decision and takes responsibility for his decision to commit suicide by the end of the story. And students it's very relatable for students. So that's a great one to teach. It's also a great novel to read. And I have the novel lesson in my Teachers Pay Teachers Teacher for Inclusion shop. I'm going to stop selling because I don't want you to think that's what this is about, because it's not. The next one is Hamilton. Hamilton is a great one to teach if students have studied or are studying American Lit, or if you are a history teacher and you want to do something different. Hamilton is a great play to teach in the classroom. The students have a lot of fun with that. I would say beware of the scene where they're singing about prostitution, and just make sure you take that out. But other than that, it's appropriate and it works great in the classroom, especially when you're teaching or learning about American history. Westside Story is a great one if you're having trouble letting go of Shakespeare. It is a more modern version of Romeo and Juliet. It's the same storyline, boy meets girl, street gangs. And this one in particular is great to learn when you're looking at American literature also, but you definitely don't have to be, because you don't need the historical background. But it's about when Puerto Ricans migrated, or immigrated, not migrated, into the United States. And there was a white gang versus a Puerto Rican gang, and they're fighting over turf. And the male from the Puerto Rican gang, the white gang falls in love with the female Maria from the Puerto Rican gang, and that becomes a problem for everyone involved. Story ends the same way, tragically, as Romeo and Juliet, but it is, if you are teaching Shakespeare and you want to do a play version of Romeo and Juliet, maybe you read Romeo and Juliet and then you act out West Side Story, or at least watch West Side Story with questions that go with the movie. That's also something that I've used in the past for freshmen. It's a great way to teach Shakespeare, drama, and several different themes that are essential and important for our students. I really hope that you try out a play in your classroom where you don't just read or listen to the audio, where you actually have students read the lines and act it out, because it is so much fun. So that is my recommendation. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.